Good evening and welcome to Credit Talk. I am your host, Todd Stern, for the next half hour. This is a live call-in show. So if you have any questions regarding credit, please get on our phone lines now because they do fill up fast at 312-738-1060. So I was away last week. I know, don't cry, but I need a break now and then as well. And boy, when I was away, all I did was think about credit. I had dreams about credit. A lot of times when I can't fall asleep, I dream of credit reports, jumping a fence. Oh, that was sheep, I'm sorry. Anyways, let's get serious. I had to goof around a little bit. So, today we're going to talk about credit reports, what to do about bad credit. I've also streaming on FaceTime Live, and our number here is 312-738-1060. So any of my FaceTime people, feel free to call in with any questions. So let's talk about credit reports. And I always have visuals, as you know. So let's go to our screen here. What is a credit report? Well, it's a detailed report of an individual's credit history prepared by a credit bureau. And as we know, there are the three credit bureaus: TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. These are three for-profit companies. They're not against you, so don't be mad at them because if you have some bad credit, it's nothing personal. They just report what the creditor supplies to them. So, and what do they do with this information? They sell it. They're in business to make money. People buy credit reports when you are trying to obtain credit, such as credit cards, mortgages, loans, whatever it might be. They will pull your credit report, and obviously there's a fee to do it. So what's on a credit report when they see it? So, number one, personal data, meaning information, your name, your address, your date of birth, a lot of times phone numbers, previous addresses, basically anything you have on there. There are ways of cleaning that up too, because if you don't want all that information on there, your job history as well. Now, if you're a victim of fraud, definitely make sure that the addresses are correct, because we see at the center all the time somebody that's been a victim of fraud, there'll be several different addresses that don't belong to them. So we want to make sure that we get those off as well. There's a summary of your credit history. Well, what is that? That's going to be how you basically pay your bills. If you pay every month on time, on a credit report, it's going to either be a 1 or an okay. It's just going to be basically an okay. If you are late on your credit report 30 days, then it's going to be a 1. If you're late 60 days, then there's a 2. Or each bureau is going to be different. Some just say 30 or 60 or 90 or 120. So you never know, depending on which bureau you're looking at and what service you're looking through. There's a lot of free ones out there that basically take the information from the credit bureaus and they repackage it and they display it in a different format. So let's see what else we want to talk about. Detailed credit account information. So we can look at a credit report and it's going to show me exactly when you opened up that credit, what your credit limit is, what your balance is, and again, things like paying on time. Now, many of you who have seen this show before, when I talk about balances, what's the rule of thumb? Anyone? 30% of the credit limit. So anytime you go over 30% of the credit limit, that will affect your score. I see people all the time that have perfect credit, there's no derogatories on it, but they'll have negative information on there. Interrupting my TV show right now that's not nice. But anyways, let's go back. Let's see. Number 4, inquiries. What's an inquiry? Well, every time you have somebody pull your credit, there's going to be an inquiry, basically meaning the company that pulled it will list on there an inquiry, saying their name, Citibank or Ford, whoever it is looking at your credit report. Now, there's also 3 types of inquiries. The one that hurts you is that one that we just talked about. So be careful also when you go to car dealerships and they pull your credit. Sometimes what they do is they shotgun it, and they'll send it out to 5, 6, 7 different finance companies looking to get financing for you. They're also looking for the best deal for themselves. That's how they make money. There's a spread, meaning they get the rate at whatever 4% and they sell it to you at 5%. So they make that 1% spread as well. So make sure especially if you have a good credit, say you go to Honda, make sure you tell them that you want to be only with Honda Financial, or ask them who do they send your report to, because you don't need them sending it to 6 or 8 people, because then you have all those inquiries on there. Inquiries do lower your score 2 to 3 points. Let's go to our last bit of information. Number 5, details of negative credit information. Well, we hate to see that at the center, but it does happen. What is negative information on a credit report? It is late payments, charge-offs, collections. So you might have an account with, one of the major banks. If you don't pay the credit card, you're going to see a bunch of late payments on there, and it's going to be most likely charged off, meaning that you didn't pay it, and when you have that on there, it just takes your score and just puts it down the drain. It's not a good thing, because a lot of times people will not give you new credit when you have that negative information on your report. Especially if you're trying to buy a car, you have bad credit, and one of two things: they might sell you the car, but it's either going to be at a higher interest rate, or they're going to want a large down payment, and it's just, where a guy that has good credit can get that car for $300 a month, it's going to cost you now $450 a month. And make sure you always ask the finance person at the car dealership, what is my interest rate? Don't worry, worry about the payment, but also find out what the interest rate is, because you might say, I can afford $450, but it's 12% interest. Again, if it's 4 or 5%, whatever it might be, it's going to be a lot better than that. So that is what is on a credit report. Okay, why do creditors look at my credit? Bottom line, they want to see if you can pay them back. They're lending you money. If a friend of yours doesn't pay his bills and stuff like that, doesn't pay personal loans, you don't want to lend them money. Same thing like a business. They just want to make sure that they're going to get their money back. That's what it is, bottom line. Let's talk a little bit about scores here. Let's go to our sheet, and I'm going to actually zoom this in a little bit to make you easier for you to see. So we're going to talk about FICO scores. How is the score broken down on your credit report? 35% of this is payment history. So again, you want to make your payments on time. It's so important, because if you're late, that's going to be a problem. So don't make late payments. I'm going to put this on hold a little bit for the scoring while we go to our first call. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. So, I was just wondering, because I know you mentioned that keep a balance of the 30%. Why 30%?
Well, that's just the factor that I didn't write the rules, but FICO scoring method has come up with a rule. Basically, 30% is the limit, because if you start going over that and you're close to maxing out your credit card, and we've seen this at the center a lot, people have 4 or 5 credit cards that are 90, 95%, or 100% of the credit limit. So that's basically saying that, hey, this guy is tight on money, he can't keep his balances low, and now if we start lending him money, we're going to be in the same boat, and possibly it might go bad on them. So, so they want to be really, really careful. So definitely try to keep your balances below 30%. And the beauty is now with credit card statements and banks, everything online, I suggest, make payments weekly. I go on every other day and I'll make a payment, because I just don't want my credit card bill to get that high. So you can do it from your phone. It's so easy. Just make sure that you don't make late payments, and try to keep those balances as low as possible.
Okay, I have another question.
Sure.
So I don't have any credit yet, but do you suggest to do like a secured credit card or a normal credit card?
You have no credit yet. So the couple things are, depending on your age, are you over 21?
Yes.
Okay, so that's good. And do you have a job?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have good credit and you don't have any negative information, you have a job, I would suggest going to the bank that you bank with and start out with one of their cards, just a plain credit card. It's probably going to be a smaller limit because you have no credit. They're going to test you out, and they want to make sure that you can pay on time. And eventually, they will raise your credit limit. But that's an excellent way to build credit. Do it slow. Slow and steady wins the race. That's really, really important.
Can I get denied if I don't have any credit?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Can I get denied from a credit card?
Yes, you can too. That it's kind of a catch-22. Well, we've seen that. I've seen it happen a lot of times with older people. So if they, a guy that's 40, 45 years old, and he tries to obtain credit, but he's never had any, he's going to get turned down a lot of the times, just because of his age and everything, and like, why haven't you had credit? So if you do get turned down like that, what I would suggest doing is then getting a secured credit card. All the major banks except the big blue one do have secure credit cards where you're going to put anywhere from $300 to $5,000 into an account. That will be your credit limit, and then you will have the credit card. And bottom line is that it will show up on your credit report. So that's an excellent way. Keep that for 6 months to a year. Make sure you make your payments on time. And that's how you're going to build credit, and then go for another credit card. But slow and steady does win the race.
Can you get denied from a secured credit card or no?
Yes, you can. We've seen that. A lot of times, certain banks, if you file a bankruptcy, they won't give it. I've seen once in a while where they will also turn it down. Maybe the guy just, if you've gone bad with that bank before, sometimes they turn it down. Unfortunately, when they send you the denial letter, and I've seen plenty of them, they're very generic, meaning that they list everything in the sun. Because we'll get people that say, well, I never filed a bankruptcy, I never did this or that. Well, again, they're very, very generic. They're just covering everything in the book to make sure that you're probably one of them, but you're not going to get a straight answer on which one it is.
Okay, so you wouldn't suggest like a department credit card?
Yeah, those aren't bad either. Some department stores will. For starters, okay, use it as a crutch. As many of my viewers know, I'm not a fan of department store cards because what we see at the center on credit reports is all they do is get you in trouble. We've seen it so many times. Like somebody will have 10 department store cards with balances. That means 10 different places to pay. There's so much room for error plus high balances. It's just like, it's crazy. So don't get, sucked into the, we'll give you 10% off if you open a credit card now, blah, blah, blah. I see it all the time with department store cards, with balances extremely high. And it just doesn't make sense to do that. If you're going to do that, for that discount, I would suggest do it, try to pay it off, and then again, you want a major credit card, keep one or two of them, and call it a day.
Okay, thank you so much for your help.
No problem. Thank you for calling. Excellent call. If you want to get on the lines, I know there's a bunch of other calls waiting right now, but I do have to get back to our presentation. Call right now, 312-738-1060, and mention the code word credit, and you'll bump up right front in line. But I want to really get back to this presentation here because it's so important, because we get this question 10 times a day at the center. It's really important, about how credit scores are made. So we just talked about payment history, which is 35%. So again, make your payments on time. Length of credit. So as we tell people all the time that, especially say they've gone through credit repair and they've fixed their credit looks great right now, I tell them right away, you're not going to be a 700 credit score. With getting a new credit with one or two secured credit cards that you've had for 2 or 3 months with credit lines of $300, $500, it takes time. As I keep saying, slow and steady wins the race. But eventually your credit will get better. You're still going to have good credit and never be a 750. There's just all kinds of reasons why that you're not going to be that. So let's go to number 3, amounts owed. And we've discussed that several times. 30% of the credit limit. So try to keep that balance below 30% of the limit. Types of credit is 10%. So a mixture. There's types of credit. There's installment, which is a car, a boat loan or whatever. There's revolving, which is credit cards. And mortgages, they kind of fall under the installment category as well. I have seen them categorized as mortgage as well. So the credit bureaus do things and they change things, and it's not like we get a notice saying, hey, we're changing it, so be prepared. But again, there's a couple different types. You want to have a little bit of a mix. You want to have some revolving store credit, Visa, MasterCard, or store credit card. And if you do have a car loan, that's a good mix. And keep it low. You don't need 50 items on your report to have good credit scores. And let's see, new credit, 10% as well. We've seen at the center where people who have had credit and then they open new credit and all of a sudden their scores drop. And tell them, yes, it drops for a little bit because of the inquiry and opening new credit, but it will bounce back up. And again, remember, keep that balance below 30%. So let's take one more look at factors, what the credit bureaus are looking at and what the creditor wants to see as far where your score is. Let's go back to our screen. So we start as low as 300. Never seen it. I've never seen the lowest score that I think I've ever seen, 480 or somewhere in that area, but I've never seen anything in the threes. I've seen plenty in the fives. So as you see, 580 to 640. Once you get past, now this graphic might be a little bit older, but the mortgage companies are starting to get pretty aggressive now, and they will keep, give you mortgages below 640, low 600s. But, usually the higher your score is, the better your rate. I think we have a call. Do we have a call, my producer? No. Oh, hello, caller?
Yes, this is him.
Yes, how are you?
Good.
And your question?
Yeah, I wanted to know if you can get judgments off.
Sure. Judgments, now, we talk about judgments all the time at the center. A judgment can be deleted from a credit bureau. If you get it deleted, it doesn't relieve you of the debt. So in other words, if I have a judgment against you and you'd say, okay, Todd, well, it's not on my credit report. I don't owe you the money. I don't care if it's on the credit report. You still owe the money. But yes, we've seen it deleted off credit reports all the time. Do you have a judgment on your report, sir?
No, but I have a friend who does, and it's difficult for them to get things.
Okay. Is it accurate, do you know? Was it really his judgment?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Was it an accurate judgment? Was it really his? It belongs to him, correct?
Yes, it was his.
Yeah. Well, you can do one of two things. I mean, if you give us a call at the center, we can point you in some directions on what to do, or even talk to them about how to negotiate it. Unfortunately, when you pay them off, they're not going to remove it, especially on a judgment. They will state it, note it that it's a paid judgment. And a lot of times, when people are trying to get mortgages and stuff, depending on what it is at the last second, they need to pay these judgments because they can't get the mortgage. But yeah, judgments, I've seen them deleted 1,000,000 times.
Okay. Is it okay if I ask one more question?
Sure.
So you have all these credit repair companies. Is it true that they can get things like this off even though it's your judgment?
I've seen it, yes. I've seen it, but if you talk to a credit repair company, just be careful. If one sits there and starts promising you that they can get it deleted, be very skeptical, because there's a lot of good companies out there, and as we've mentioned on the show before, the internet's great. Just read reviews. And when you talk to the credit repair company, just make sure that if somebody's making you crazy promises, don't go with them. You want to make sure that they're in full compliance. If the guy says, give me $500 and I'll work on your credit report, right away he's taking an upfront fee, so you got to stay away from that. The only way a proper credit repair company can charge is month to month, and you can cancel at any time. The contract has to provide consumer disclosures, federal disclosures. You have to have 2 notices of cancellation. So if a guy doesn't even give you that stuff, again, they're not legitimate, and I would stay away.
Yeah, because there was a company that contacted me. Their name is Everyday Credit. So they told me, that they can do these things and there's a one-time fee.
Yeah, I would stay away with them. I've never heard of them, and first of all, if they contacted you, that's not good either. You know, that's why you want to be the one. And again, if you're in Chicago here, there's some good companies on there. I would say Google Credit Repair. You know, Credit Repair Chicago. Look at the guys that have the most reviews. There's a couple out there. I can't mention who they are, but there's a couple that have great reviews. Talk to them. Have them pull your credit. Review it. If they're pushy with you, stay away. But if they, you want to be talked to just like I'm talking to you right now. You want to know information, you want to be educated, and then you make the decision.
No, they didn't contact me. They referred me over to them.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for your call.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Thanks. Okay. So that was a very interesting call. Let's go to our next call. Hello, caller.
Hi, yes. So I have an account with this bank, and in their services, they give me the opportunity to check my credit score.
Yes.
Is that safe?
Oh, it's definitely safe. If you're going through the banks, well, I shouldn't say definitely, but these big companies get hacked all the time. But if it's a major bank and they offer you scores, I mean, basically a lot of the banks are doing it now. Bank of America, Chase, they all offer it. So it's safe. I mean, just as safe as you going on and paying your bill online. Now, those scores you got to be careful with because they're a different scoring model, and they're going to be a little bit inflated, just like there's a lot of these free services out there. We get it all the time. They said, oh, my Chase card said that I'm 730, and then he goes to get his mortgage, and now he's at 690 from the mortgage broker. Again, so it's just a different scoring method that they use. So, but it is definitely, I go on and look at mine, and it's safe. I'm not that paranoid, as long as you see the security. And again, if you're talking a major bank, you shouldn't have any problems.
And is there do I get a fault if I check my credit score through that bank, like at least maybe like more than 5 times? Because
No, you're not. Those type of services like that don't affect your score. Again, there's the 3 types of inquiries that we talked about. If you go to the car dealership or you have a mortgage broker that pulls your report and sees the score, that's an inquiry. That's going to hurt. There's also promotional inquiries. That's when you get the solicitations in the mail. And then there's ones that analyze your credit, that people that you have open credit with will once in a while look at your credit just to check it out, make sure that there's no problems. Because if all of a sudden they see a problem, they're going to do one of 2 things. They're going to lower their credit limit with you, or they might even shut you off. We see that all the time. I've seen people call us at the center. They have credit limits of, say, $10,000 and they owe $8,000. All of a sudden, now the bank has lowered them to $3,000 on their credit limit. So now they're in big trouble because they're over the limit. They're going to get pressure from the banks to make these payments as well. But,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling. Okay, excellent question. We only have a couple minutes left. I'm looking at my Facebook. Okay, so let's go back to our scoring platform and then see if we can get away. So, again, anything over, you want to be 700s is really, really good. If you want to get like what's called a jumbo mortgage, you need to be over 740. And as you see, past 750, 760 is top notch. I mean, once you get past the high score guys, like 760, 770, I'll get people, I want to be an 820. They're at like 770, 780 right now. I'm like, at that point, it really doesn't matter. It's not going to affect. You're still going to get, as we talked about, tier 1 financing where you get 0% interest. So it's definitely, good to have your scores high and obviously check them from now and then. So let me just kind of go through this a little bit. And we're really running out of time here. But I do want to thank everybody for watching. I know there's a couple calls that haven't gotten through yet, and I apologize. Please call us at the center at 773-862-4000. Next week, our host will be attorney Larry Smith. He's awesome to watch. Great information, a lot about credit and problem like when there's stuff on your credit report that really doesn't belong to you and you've tried getting it off and they will remove it. He's the guy that's going to help you and tell you what to do. So Thank you for watching. Larry will see you next week, and have a great night. Thanks.